And here we go. Next one is Defiance of the Fall, a LitRPG adventure written by AKA JF Brink. It is 685 pages, $4.99. It's available on Kindle Unlimited. And here is the author's description. Zach was alone in the middle of the forest when the world changed. The whole planet was introduced to the multiverse by an unfeeling system or god, a universe where an endless number of races and civilizations fought for power and dominion. Zach finds himself stuck in the wilderness, surrounded by deadly beasts, demons, and worse. Alone, lost, and without answers, he must find the means to survive and get stronger in this new cutthroat reality. With only a hatchet for a weapon, he'll have to seek out his family before the world collapses or die trying. So there we go. Apparently this is also a very, the author puts in the notes that this is a very popular story from Royal Road. So there you go. Okay, this is an action-oriented RPG apocalypse serial story collected and published. It is a very, the start is honestly a little rough, and that's one of the recurring statements in like some of the reviews for this is that the start is rough, but it has a lot of super positive reviews, like several hundred. So you can't argue that I enjoyed it as well, but a lot of recurring criticisms for the beginning at least. So if you have a rough time there, push past it. It does really get a lot better. The author finds his writing style fairly quickly. There's lots of action, lots of adventure. And the first half of the story really just focused on the solo adventuring of the main character as he's forced to skip the tutorial or RPG apocalypse and fight monsters to survive and fulfill the quest he's given by the system. So dangerous path, but very rewarding for the main character. And the second half of the story actually expands into town building, community building, waves of monsters, plus some world building as the main character is able to kind of leave his starter location for other places, and he gets connected with other survivors, sees how the rest of the world is doing in the situations, and of course are set up for other plot lines, like him finding his family, him finding the other members of his camping group that he was with when all this started, which is stuff I'm sure it's going to be developed while into the series. And on the RPG side of things, fairly decent. There's a cultivation aspect to the power growth, which some people will like, some people won't. Not bad. It's just a different twist on RPG cultivation, or RPG progression rather. But there is very clear progression, power choices, class choices. There is XP, or release power gain, through quests and killing monsters. The cultivation aspect really just adds a different layer to gather power without killing monsters. And it's kind of the power system set up for the magic tech that's used in the story and by the system. But again, the really good power growth curve with reasonable explanations. For systems that mimic the game stuff. You'll see things like leaderboards eventually, how the XP system works, system itself, powers, classes, all the good stuff that you like from LitRPG exists here in the story. And it is detailed enough that I think that most people will appreciate it. And it's not really that repetitive, so always good stuff here. Overall, again, very action-focused story that a lot of people enjoyed. I'm one of them. It loses a couple points for me. It's almost great. It's just that the rough beginning knocked it down a little bit for me. But overall, it had really nice character development. It had good world building. And, just be aware, it is a collected serial. So there's not going to be like this one cohesive arc for the entire story necessarily, because it's multiple arcs written for a serial story that's published online and is continuing to be published. And this is a collection of those stories, and they're published. So you have two kind of big arcs in this particular book of the series, and they could have been published separately, and they would have been perfectly entertaining and fine, but put together here. So just be aware of the structure of the story, so you have a reasonable expectations. But overall, again, very action oriented, top notch, and I don't doubt that it's going to get more complex and more world building as the series continues. For me, get the score 7.8 out of 10. That's a really good score. Defiance of the Fall, a LitRPG adventure with the score of 7.8 out of 10.